What's going on, people? Hope you're all well. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're enjoying the sunshine. It's been an amazing day today. One of the hottest, I have to say. It's been a fantastic weekend with family and friends, and I hope that you have had the same. Not much football going on at the moment. Obviously, last night, Champions League. Today's been a bit more chill. The season has finally come to an end as we build towards the Euros, which we're going to talk a little bit about in the next coming weeks, as that looks to be prepared to be starting. But today, it's all about rumours. Rumour. That's all we keep getting. Arsenal heavily involved. And to be honest with you, it's good. It's good to talk about what's happening in the world of Arsenal. And I must say that we are being linked with quite a few players ins, quite a few players outs. We're going to discuss them today. There's a lot of rumours online. There's a lot of talk that things are heating up in the transfer market for Arsenal Football Club. And that must be a good thing. Now, there's a lot of positions we're going to be talking about today. There's a lot of drama in terms of who we want to see coming in, who we want to see coming out. There's a few names being banded about that Arsenal are linked with. There's also quite a lot of talk about players that are not just coming in, but going out as well. So we're going to discuss all things in relation to that. Do me a favor, though. If you want one of these behind me, in the link, Russell Hogg Photography at hotmail.com. Make sure you email him. He is selling these. If you do want one, just tell him you're a gooner, you're friends with Dan Potts, and he'll sort you out. All right, so make sure that you go and email him. Link is in the description. Also, if you do like a bet over the weekend, then please make sure you go to Bread and Honey Bets. That is an absolute must. Doing well this weekend as well. So make sure you go and click on the Patreon link, which is in the description as well. And make sure you follow Football Prizes because they are the sponsors of this channel. So if you haven't gone so already, go over to www.footballprizes.co.uk and you'll be able to win a lot of prizes there that you definitely will not want to miss out on. So please make sure that you do that. I'm absolutely sweating in my house. It is absolutely baking today. I've been out all day and I needed some windows open. That's for sure. It's absolutely baking up here. Big up to all of you in the chat. Big up to Ash. Big up to Mapix. Big up to Amir. Big up to Cedric. Big up to Tabitha. And big up to all of you for listening on Catch Up as well. Please make sure you do me a favor. We're so close to 20k. We are literally so close. I think we're not even 700 away. So let's make sure we hit the like button. Let's make sure we hit subscribe because I need to get to that 20k. It is my target. I'd love to do it before the Euros. If we can make that happen, people, it would be fantastic. So please hit the like button and subscribe. They're absolutely free to do. So make sure you hit two buttons, like, subscribe, and it's done. Come back in the chat, ask any questions you want, throw any interaction in the comments, any super chats you want to thing in, I will put up on the screen and we will talk about them. So if you want to do any of that, then please feel free. Let's talk about the first story, shall we? Let's talk about Emile Smith Row. Let's talk about Smith Row because today I've seen a few reports suggesting that he might be off. Now, I don't think it's because Smith Row wants to leave. I think Smith Row loves Arsenal. Well, I know Smith Row loves Arsenal. Right? I've spoken to people that know him, and I know that his heart is set on staying at Arsenal. But his heart is also set on playing first-team football. Now, I hope that we keep Smith Rowe because I found that there was a little bit of hope and a little bit of confidence boost that he might have got from Arteta showing a bit of faith in him. Not just in the Luton game at home a few months ago where he starred and got man of the match, but actually in the game against Everton when he actually did come on. And I actually looked at his performance and thought he looked pretty sharp. And I think with fitness with Smith Rowe, it's been a little bit of a question mark. And it wasn't when he first come on the scene. I know he got an injury when on loan at Leipzig. He bulked himself up at Huddersfield. He's kind of an example of a player that can come through the youth academy, go and have a couple of good loan spells and come in and do the job. That's what he did when we're going for top four. Unfortunately, since going for a title race in the last two, he struggled to get anywhere near the first team. So a squad player is obviously somebody that we need and would like to bring on in Smith Rowe. But let's be real, sentiment kind of goes out the window if the player isn't good enough. Now, I think he is good enough to be a squad player, but does Arsenal and does Mikel Arteta? That's what we've got to be looking at. Likewise, some people in the chat are saying that was a shop window, a poor performance for Emile Smith Rowe, but I kind of feel like as much as that could have been, he could have brought on Vieira for a shop window performance. Does that mean that Vieira's staying and Smith Rowe's going? He could have brought on Eddie, could have brought on Nelson, but he chose to bring on Emile Smith Rowe. I would say he's probably got more faith in him than the others. So I'm kind of there. If I'm honest. But Smith Rowe is in fact being linked as a priority transfer target for Fulham. Now they are preparing an offer. Apparently, he is the transfer that they want. He's the priority this summer. And it's weird with Fulham, isn't it? Because they've already looked at players that Arsenal have had before, Alex Iwobi being one of them, Bernd Leno in goal. They've obviously got Willian, who didn't have a very good career at Arsenal, but has done pretty well, to be fair, in the last couple of years with Fulham. But Smith Rowe is a talent. And Smith Rowe, I think, when he gets first team football, will show everybody that he's a talent. That's why I want to keep him at Arsenal, if I'm honest. He'd be one of the only ones in the fringes that does stay in my books. I believe Vieira should be behind him in the pecking order, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, and then some of the other youngsters coming through, Patino, Marquinhos, those types, I think are the ones that we should be looking to get rid of ahead of Emile Smith Row. But if Fulham do want to be putting in transfer bids, I think they've got to hit at least 30 million plus for us to be tempted to sell Smith Rowe. I think the only temptation is that, of course, because he's a hail-in product, it means that he will definitely be getting us the 100% profit. I will say this. I do think that Emile Smith Rowe at his age is better than some of the players that have gone on to have good careers that people liken him to. For example, Jack Grealish, when he was at the young age at Aston Villa, I didn't see him tearing it up like I've seen Smith Rowe do in the earlier days against Arsenal. I think he's got more about his game as well at that young age, but it never ever does. Well, I say never. It doesn't always turn out that they keep going and developing. It might be that Emile Smith Rowe doesn't hit the heights of somebody of that level. It might be. We'll have to see where we're at with that. But I do believe it's one to watch. I think with Emile Smith Rowe as well, we've got to look at it and be realistic about how much game time he would get. And if we don't believe that he's the guy that can come in if Ødegaard gets an injury, then what's he actually doing here? I mean, he can play left wide, he can play right wide, but really he's a number 10, isn't he? And is that a player position that you think he can come in and do a job? He's not really been used too much in the attacking 8 position either. It was kind of Havertz and some of the others that were being spoken about there too. So if I'm honest with you, it's very frustrating that he's not been given the game time from him personally. I do question at times why we've been bringing on other players instead of him at times, but I do kind of feel like in the back of my mind, he has actually got some thoughts for Smith Rowe. So watch this space. Let's see what happens with Emile. And I hope that if he does go, he has a good career, because he's not a player I've ever looked at and thought, oh, he needs to go, he's rubbish, or oh, he just needs to get out of the club. For me, it's not something like that with Emile Smith Rowe. We need to be looking at what he can do. So let's see where we're at with Emile Smith Rowe. It might be that Arsenal don't look to sell him. That's what I will say. It's not that Arsenal want to sell him. This is coming in from another club. So the perspective has come from the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, and a few other reports suggesting that Fulham are the team that have put him on their transfer priority target. And Emile Smith Rowe is one that they want. So watch this space with Emile. Let's see what happens. The other one I want to talk about is a bit of a strange one. I can't lie. This one's a bit strange because I really don't see this one happening. Aaron Ramsdale is being linked with Liverpool. Now, Liverpool have got Alisson. Liverpool have got Kelleher. They're talking about Kelleher potentially leaving, and then they want a backup goalkeeper. Now, I would be amazed if Ramsdale goes from being the number 2 under Raya at Arsenal to going to Liverpool to be the number 2 under Alisson. So there's rumours that Alisson actually might be leaving to go to Saudi Arabia. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll be stunned if that happens. I really would. I think Alisson will stay at Liverpool, and I think that this one is just, what do you call it? Weak rumour, so to speak. It's an opinion as well of Paul Robinson that somebody like Liverpool would be interested in him. But I don't think Aaron Ramsdale is going to move abroad, which was what they were talking about. But I don't think he's going to go to Liverpool. I think, if I'm honest, if I had to put one club as favourites, it would be Newcastle for me. Now, I know they're going for the Valencia goalkeeper. I'm not going to try and butcher his name, the Georgian international. But I don't know how simple that one is. And Nick Pope is looking like a goalkeeper that they're having concerns about in terms of his injuries. And I think it would be quite sensible of a signing to go for Aaron Ramsdale. I really do. I think it would be a good signing for them. Chelsea mentioned. I think they'll probably look to go for another name. Manchester United, I don't believe, are interested. So where else is there in England that he can go? Unless he goes down to another level. Wolves, Brighton, Bournemouth again, something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where his head's at. I think he wants to play first team football, but I think he wants to play at the highest of levels. And I think Newcastle would be a good shout. I really do. I think that would be a good goalkeeper He's going to probably be, 30 million? I think we paid 26 for him. We're not going to get any more than that. He's been on the bench all year. I think if he would have played at number one, we could have tried to get 40 to 50 million and try and really stretch people, but no one's going to be paying that. Let's just be real. We're going to get probably 30 million tops for him. And I think Newcastle would potentially pay that if they needed a number one goalkeeper, because he would come in and be number one and then Pope can be number two. So that's what I think would happen potentially if Aaron Ramsdale is to go. That means we need another goalkeeper. And there's not really any goalkeepers that we're massively linked with. There was slight rumours of Szczesny, Justin Bielo, Jason Steele from Brighton was another one mentioned the other day, which I thought was a madness. I just don't know where my head's at here. I keep saying, let's get a goalkeeper that's number one and put Raya back at number two. Let's put a goalkeeper in that backs up Raya. I don't know. What I would do is not what Mikel Arteta would do. Mikel Arteta is going to go and get a backup goalkeeper that none of us have really heard of again, in my opinion. I would go and get a Diogo Costa or a Michael Mannion or Jan Oblak. That's what I would do. And then Raya could be number two. But Raya's not going to want to be number two. And Mikel Arteta doesn't want to make Raya number two. So Raya's going to be number one. I'm going to go and get another goalkeeper, aren't we? That's what's going to happen. Listen, people, there's well over 200 of you in here. Make sure you do me a favor and hit the like button and the subscribe. I need you to do both of those things for me, please, right now. It makes it so much easier for me to promote this channel and to grow it as well. And also, it gets us very, very close to 20K, which is our next one. So please hit that like and that subscribe button. Do it now. Thank you very much. Amazing. Let's look at the striker option, shall we? Because there's going to be a lot of talk about Arsenal and the striker this summer. You can see it already. The amount of times that people have said to me, oh, look, this is going to be a Arsenal summer for a huge striker. And it really is one or t'other, as they say up north. We are going to go big for a striker, or we're not going to go big for a striker, but we'll go big for a midfielder. I think one of those positions we will spend a lot of money in. I don't know what area we are going to, but I believe that both areas need to be addressed. Now, for me, I've always said that I would spend the majority of our transfer budget on a midfielder and a striker. And then when we start to sell players, I would use that money to try and get the backups and the upgrades and replacements for those that you're selling. That's what I would do. Because our first 11 is very good. But when everybody's fit, there's a little bit of a problem in the following areas. Number 9 and left 8. Now, you can use Rice in the left 8 and buy a 6. Or you can put Rice in the 6 and buy a left 8. And that's probably the way around that I think we'll look to do it. Now, it might be that we need both if Thomas Partey leaves, because we'll only have Jorginho and Rice. Now, that means we need another 6 and an 8. So we might need both. And I actually think we probably do need both. But do we spend a massive amount of money on 2 players or a massive amount of money on 1 player? So let me give you a scenario. In midfield, do we spend money on Zubimendi and Yusuf Fofana? Or do we go out and spend massive money on De Jong or Bruno Guimaraes? Which way around do we do it? I think the sensible one is probably to get 2 for 1 in the same money. But does that take our midfield to a next level? I'm not so sure. I think most people would prefer to see Rice, Ødegaard and De Jong, or Rice, Ødegaard and Bruno Guimaraes than Rice, Ødegaard and Yusuf Fofana, although I'm a huge fan of Fofana. So it's going to be interesting. And then, of course, what that means is that we might have to do something in the number 9 position that a lot of people were predicting we weren't going to do. And that's not spend 100 million on a striker. Now, a lot of people will say that's a madness if we don't do it. But hear me out here. How many of them are out there right now that you think 100 million going to win us the league? I can name one, Alexander Isak. Don't give me Haaland. Don't give me Kane. They're not available, right? They're not. Alexander Isak is the only one that comes in here right now and guarantees you goals. Because people will look at Toney and Watkins and say they're Premier League proven, and they might be the next best option. But there's still a risk because they've got to go up to that level. Isak has been doing it in Europe for Real Sociedad and understands Ødegaard really well and is Premier League proven and is doing it in Newcastle against the big clubs. So that, for me, proves that he's ready. Watkins and Toney, it's very different being the number 1 for Brentford and the number 1 for Aston Villa and being the number 1 for Arsenal. It really is. Right? Ask Francis Jeffers. Yeah. So when you look at it, those 2 options might be good options and they might be cheaper options. But the other one that I'm hearing is Osimhen. Now, Osimhen, there's a rumour, and Eduardo Hagen has put this out on Twitter. I personally don't think he's very reliable, but some people... It's come from La Gazzetta, who's got like 1.9 million subscribers, saying that Victor Osimhen is waiting for Arsenal to make a move for him. Now, that suggests that he is willing to listen to Arsenal if we are to be interested. I don't know if that is going to be a true priority for us or even a link for us. But I do feel that Osimhen is one that is on the list. Now, a lot of people are speaking about Osimhen, saying that they would rather have him than some of the other names mentioned. Now, last season, everybody wanted him. Literally, everyone was talking about this guy. They were saying, get Osimhen, not Toney. Don't look at Watkins. Don't look at anybody but Victor Osimhen. This season, he's had a more of a flat season. Still scored about 13, 14 goals, I think, for Napoli. Nowhere near the 30 that he got in all competitions of last season. But the season just gone, he did get, I think, between 10 and 15 goals. But 100+ million pounds, a release clause, I think, of around 112 to 113 million, if I'm not mistaken. That is a lot of money for a centre forward that is not guaranteed you goals. But who does? Who guarantees you goals? Real talk. How many of these strikers out there right now guarantee you goals? I would say Toney and Watkins guarantee us more goals than Osimhen because they've already scored in England. I would say Victor Gyökeres guarantees us goals because they've done it in England. I would say that Isak is the only one that is guaranteeing us goals. Osimhen would be an absolute risk. Of course, he would earn a lot of money. And that is why I think Arsenal were looking as their priority striker as being Sesko. I think with Sesko, what we're going to get is somebody who's a little bit more raw, 21 years old, just turned, 13 goals, most of which came at the back end of the season because he wasn't actually a first-team striker. I do think that, from what I've seen, he's a good player. It's not one that the Arsenal fan base, though, are going to go, wow, I'm excited. This is the player to take us across the line. But then my question would be, who else is there then? If it isn't Alexander Isak, who is it that's guaranteed to take us across the line? Is it Toney? Is it Watkins? Is it someone mad that no one's even thought of yet, like a Xerxes, or who's that guy from Girona? The striker from Girona that I can't pronounce his name. It's completely gone from me now. Someone will tell me in the chat. Is it him? You know, this is the problem you've got. It's always going to be a risk. So if Benjamin Sesko is going to be the guy that we want at 45 to 50 million pound release clause, and we go and spend more money in the middle, maybe that's the way forward for Arsenal. Maybe that's what it is. You know, a lot of people are suggesting that it could be that. Now, the Ramiro are reporting that there's a deadline date set for Benjamin Sesko and Arsenal. And we have made Leipzig striker Sesko their top target for a centre forward this summer. Apparently, he favours London over Manchester United or Chelsea, who are both interested, valued at around £45 million. This is what I'm reading here. And it says, according to Sky Germany, we have set a deadline. Arsenal set a deadline of a fortnight in which to get things signed. Sesko will be playing for Slovenia in Germany, where he'll face England in Group C. And it suits everyone to get things sorted before the tournament begins. So that's come from the Mirror. And that's mad, isn't it? Because he's actually going to be playing against England. So we can really get to see him in the Euros. And that's the good thing about this, is Arsenal being linked with someone, you can actually see him firsthand. You can look at YouTube, you can look at Reels. They're going to look like, he'll probably look like Zlatan or somebody like that on YouTube, yeah? But when you look at it, let's have a look at him ourselves and see what he's about. A lot of people are saying he's a very high-rated player. He's a prospect, hot prospect for the future. 21 years old, just turned, 6'5". A lot of attributes that people like. But let's not start comparing him to Zlatan and Haaland, yeah, like I'm seeing some people do. He's done nothing yet, right? Let's actually let him wear the shirt first before we start to throw names like that at it. Because he come from Salzburg and he's now playing for Leipzig, people are going, oh, it's a Haaland situation. It's Haaland, Austria to Germany, big, high prospect player, 21 years old, killing it in Germany. Let's calm down. Let's let him wear the shirt first, yeah, before we actually do that. Now, it looks to me, if I had to put my money on it, he's the one we're going to get. I think it's going to be Sesko. Now, I don't know how many of you are excited about that. Maybe some of you will say that they're really excited because he's a young player and everyone wants him. But I can understand why some Arsenal fan base are questioning this, because is he the player, like Declan Rice, that goes, boom, go do it for me? I don't think so, man. I think this is more of a project player. I think this is more of a player that we look at 21 years old that says, right, you've done nothing in your career yet. I'm going to give you 2-3 seasons to prove to me that you can, get us across the line. And I would be very surprised, guys, if Havertz doesn't start the season as our number 9. I'll be shocked if he doesn't, in fact. I think buying Benjamin Sesko does not mean Havertz is a squad player. I think what it means is that he starts and Sesko comes on and gets moulded into that number 9 that Arteta wants him to be. That's what I believe I see when I see rumours of Sesko to Arsenal. It doesn't fill me with, wow, Havertz is now a squad player. Look at Trossard. Look at these players that could be coming off on the bench. This is amazing. Look at Martinelli. Look at Jesus. I think Sesko comes and he just sits on the bench and he replaces Eddie Nketiah. That's what we're doing. We're replacing Eddie here with Sesko. Now, that's better because he is better than Eddie Nketiah, don't get me wrong. But I honestly don't believe he's a player that we look at to go, right, you're coming on because you're ready. You're starting because you're ready. This isn't an Isak or a Toney situation. So they are looking for the future with this one, I think, with Sesko. I do think that. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Trust me. It's good that there's other players that, other clubs that want the player. Manchester United and Chelsea, let's be real, they both want a striker as well. So that's what I'm saying is there's only so many number 9s to go around, but Gyökeres, Toney, Watkins, Isak, Sesko now, they're not all going to go to other clubs. Isak, I think, will stay at Newcastle. Gyökeres could go to Chelsea. Vlahovic is another one that people are talking about that we've been linked. I don't think we're looking at that now. I think we would have got that the other summer if we really wanted him. So I think we've moved from there, and he hasn't really been killing it at Juventus, let's be real. So there's a player. If it isn't Isak for me, my number 1 would be either Toney or Gyökeres. But Sesko's one that I look at and think, yeah, you could be an absolute monster. But I just don't know enough about you yet. I know more about Gyökeres because obviously what he did at Coventry, played in England, started to look at him when we were linked with him a while ago, started to see some of his goals, 84 million release clause. Again, more money than Sesko. Sesko is going to be an option that I think, if we look at it, let's say that we spend 45 million. Let's just go with this scenario. Sesko is the one that we want. Let's just say it is, right? We go for Sesko. We pay 45 million pounds, and he gets us 20 goals next season. That is a steal of a signing. The other scenario to that is we pay 45 million pounds. He hardly plays. He gets a couple of goals, and everyone goes, what was the point? You might as well have gone and just saved your money and gone and got Isak the following summer. Or you might as well have gone and got Toney. Or you might as well have gone and got Watkins, or whatever it be. So there is going to be that. There is going to be that. Super chats come in from Chaitanya. Big up, my friend. Says, big up. Eddie, Smith Rowe, Reece, most likely out. If we want to sign a top player, they are pure profit for FFP. Now, this is really important because this is a situation I know that Arsenal are being looked at, like all other clubs, for the PSR and FFP stuff. Not because we're skint and we ain't got any money, just because we're on the brink, from what I'm being told, until that June passes to go for it. That's why Bruno Guimaraes is not going to be released his clause from Arsenal, because we just don't have the money to do that. Even over the 3 installments, I'm being told. So if we were to get him, it would have to be past his release clause. And I just don't think if he doesn't go on his release clause, Newcastle are keeping him, I think. Man City, because they spend what they want, they'll be able to do it. Arsenal, they aren't able to, because we take the PSR seriously, from what Mikel Arteta and Edu are saying. So I don't see Bruno Guimaraes at Arsenal. I don't see Frankie de Jong leaving Barcelona, if I'm honest, and going to Arsenal. I don't see Barella leaving Inter. I think there's rumours he's signing a new deal. So who is this big midfielder that we can spend money on? Maybe it's not. Maybe we go for Zubimendi and Fofana, and then Sesko. Pedro Neto being linked today with a move from Arsenal. I'd love him. Absolutely, I would love him. Michael Elise, people are talking about Arsenal should be in for. I'd love him. But there is, of course, another player that people are talking about. Onana was another one as well I saw today, actually, in midfield. I'm not sure how what the rumours are about that. But there is also another player that Arsenal linked with at the back. Now, at the back, we've been linked with Diomande. We've been linked with Joral Harto. We've been linked with Ferdi Kadioglu from Fenerbahce. And today we've been linked with the Barcelona centre-half who plays at left-back also, or left-back, should I say, that plays at centre-half. I hope I don't get this name wrong, but it is Mikhail Faye. He's 19 years old, big future. Xavi rates him highly. He was playing at Barcelona B this season. The sale could raise 17 million pounds. It could be up to that he's rated at. I don't know anything about this guy. I literally know nothing about him. I don't know if he's a top talent. I don't know if he's only a bit good. I don't know if he's one that we should be staying clear of. I don't know. I literally do not know how good this guy is. But what I will say is this. A defender is going to be coming to Arsenal. Now, does that mean that we're losing a couple? Or does it mean we're losing none? Does it mean we're losing one? Well, we're definitely going to be losing Tavares. I think we're definitely going to be selling Tierney. The question mark is, are we selling Zinchenko and Kivior too? Because they're the other two that have been rumoured to be moving away from Arsenal over the last few days. Apparently, Vincent Kompany, the new Bayern Munich manager now, if you remember, wants Zinchenko as his first signing, knows him very well, played with him at Manchester City. And I can see him leaving if we get a bid in the region of 30 million, because that's what we signed him for. And I do believe that if he was to come and say, I want Zinchenko, here's 30 million, I would 100% say yes to that. 100% I would. I think that'd be a good sale. I don't think he's good enough defensively. I know people like him. I know people like the passion that he gives and the fact that he gets the crowd up. I understand people like him on the ball. But I really do not feel that I'm in a situation where I can get behind Zinchenko staying at Arsenal, because defensively he's so bad. So bad. I would rather Tierney stay. Real talk. I know people go, oh, Dad loves Tierney. What's his obsession with Tierney? I'm not saying I have an obsession with Tierney. I'm saying I think he's a better defender. And I think people would probably agree with that. Timber's going to be our left back. It then depends what cover we've got. So do we buy another left back to cover Timber? Or do we use Tomiyasu or Kiwior? Or do we go and buy another centre back? So what I will say, defence for me is not a priority. It's not. I think Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel and Timber are brilliant as a back four. Tomiyasu's good cover and can play across the back line. And I think Kiwior has proven, let's be real, that actually he can do a job at left back or left centre back. There might be one more that we need, but we either keep one of Tierney and Zinchenko, or we sell them and we might bring in somebody else. And it looks like that's probably what's going to happen. It looks like we're probably going to bring one of the others in. Now, Yoel Harto is a guy that people like. Diomande is the one that I would like, because I feel like he's a direct replacement for Saliba, which is something we don't have. But of course, we've been linked today with Faye. So let's see what happens in the coming weeks with Arsenal and defence. It looks like a goalkeeper is going to have to come in to back up. It looks like a defender is going to have to come in to back up. And then what it looks like to me is that there's potential to buy a right winger to back up. So that's 3 areas that we are signing as backups. And I think there could be 3 areas that we sign as well in the first team. And that's 2 midfielders and a centre forward. So there could be up to 6 players coming to Arsenal. There could be. If we have a busy summer, there could be up to 6 players coming. That's the way to look at it optimistically. If I had to put money on it, I'd probably suggest there's at least 3 players coming in, maybe 4. But I don't think there'll be any more than that. And I think that will probably be a striker, a midfielder, a defender, and maybe a goalkeeper to back up Ramsdale when he goes. Sorry, Raya, back up Raya. That's what I'm saying. I think through that spine, I'm not sure the right wing situation is one we're going to be able to get. We're not going to be able to get a massive upgrade on Reece Nelson unless we spend serious money on a Pedro Neto and Michael Elise. And I just don't know that we do that. I think the priority needs to be in other areas. So maybe we use Jesus as right wing cover if we buy Sesko or a striker. That's what I'd be doing. I'd keep Jorginho and Partey. I'd keep both, because then you've got 2 players with experienced heads, 1 for the dressing room, but 2 to back up, and you play them both. You wrap them both up in cotton wool when you use them, when you need them. You don't start them, any of them. I don't think Partey's a starter anymore, unfortunately. I think Rice is that 6th starter, and then you go and buy that number 8. And in defence as well, I've mentioned some of the players we need to shift out. There's a lot of players that need to go at Arsenal. And I hope this PSR and FFP won't affect it like it did in January. And I hope that that gets affected the following January window and not this window. Because otherwise, players are going to be in trouble. Clubs are going to be in trouble. They want to move. They're not being allowed to move. They want to try and get 20 million for, say, Reece Nelson. Ain't going to happen. You're going to have to take 15. Someone's going to have to bid 15 million for us to consider Vieira. People were talking about, Eddie and Ketty going for 25, 30 million. I don't see that. Same with Smith Rowe. Like, for me, I think we might have to look at it and be realistic. Gone are the days that transfers I like that. I was listening to Harry the other day as well, to be fair. Big up, Harry. Make sure you go follow the Chronicles of Aguna. And he was sort of saying the same. I don't think this window is going to be this 100 millions for Rice anymore. I think people have looked at that PSR seriously. But I could be wrong. Another super chat's coming from Dale. Big up yourself, bruv. Says, please stop with the Toney talk. Look at his stats. 25 goals in 83 Premier League starts. 11 goals in 38 matches. Even with penalties, it's mediocre. There's a lot of people that don't rate Toney like this as well. He's not the only one, Dale. There's a lot of people that say, like, forget Toney. And do you know what, Dale? I think you'll like to hear this. I don't think Mikel Arteta wants Toney. I don't see enough from the winter transfer window and this transfer window to believe that Ivan Toney is someone on the list of Mikel Arteta. I think we would know more about it now. And I think when he comes out on a podcast and says, I would like to play for Arsenal, and we still don't go for him, that proves that Mikel Arteta doesn't want him. And I was talking to Tom, and I think he might have even been talking on this podcast actually about how much they go into depth wise when they sign a player. They look at the background, they look at the history, they look at the personality, they look at the family record, they look at his upbringing, they look at how he is in terms of his kind of mental strength, they look at the elite mentality. And that was quite an interesting chat I was having, and a quite an interesting pod, because it isn't just, I like that player, he scores goals, bring him in. They actually look more deeper into that. And maybe it isn't just those two. Maybe that is more what happens with scouting. I'm not a scout, I don't know. Maybe it's other clubs that do that as well. But I know for a fact that Arteta and Edu are looking to bring in players that would fit the mold, and players that would interlink, and players with similar mentalities and personalities that would be able to connect and actually build something together. So if he believes there's going to be a bad apple, which people might say is Toney, I don't think they'd bring him in. I don't think he would. So that could be interesting. A lot of people saying Toney's still better than Havertz. Look, Havertz has done really well. He's proved a lot of people wrong, man. Listen, me and my mum always have this debate because my mum's not a fan of Havertz, whereas I actually do think that he's proved a lot of people wrong, particularly myself. And I think when players prove you wrong, you have to hold your hands up and go, look, I was where you were at, but I've changed my opinion. And some people have done that with players. Some people have done that with a manager. People have done that with Mikel Arteta. People have done that with the Cronkies, with Edu. That's what happens in life. It's about being proven wrong, right? And if you can do that, I think Kai Havertz is an example of why I think he's proved a lot of footballers wrong, and a lot of football fans wrong. Even rival fans saying, look, I wasn't a fan of him at Chelsea, but what he's done at Arsenal, wow, fair play. I didn't expect it. And I think when he did actually look to be playing in midfield for us, it looked like a really bad signing. He really did. Kai Havertz will have a good Euro, says Martin. I think Germany could have a good Euros. I can't lie. I think going forward, I think Germany are definitely someone I put my money on, as well as England and France. I think France have always got a chance. They've got some unbelievable players. Kylian Mbappe's there. England have got a great chance with the squad that we've got going forward. But I also think Germany going forward are looking pretty good. You mentioned Havertz, but that's Florian Wirtz there. You've got Musiala there. You've got Gnabry there. Sane there. Some of the players that we've seen at Bayern Leverkusen this season, as well as Dortmund this season, are coming through as well. So fair play. Fair play to them. I think Germany have got a very good chance. Actually, over at Germany as well. So I do think that is a good shout. And I hope that if England don't win it, I hope it's an Arsenal player that can lift the trophy to give a little bit of winning mentality to bring back over to Arsenal. Doesn't always work. Ask Mustafi and all that. But it does help. That's for sure. Okay, what else have we got going on today? Rumours of Mbappe going to Real Madrid. Might as well mention it. I know it's away from Arsenal. No shock. It's probably the worst kept secret, actually, if I'm honest with you. But I pose this question. What does the front three look like at Real Madrid now? We saw them last night. We saw that they won the Champions League. Dortmund actually played very well. Just in front of goal, they were just, not good. But I have to say this. Is the front three going to be Mbappe up top with Vinny Jr. and Rodrigo either side? Or are they going to try and change something a little bit? Because I look at it and I think Mbappe's played predominantly on the left. But what's actually going to happen with his position when he comes to Real Madrid? Is he going to be their number 9? So that's a question I want to ask. The other question is Rodrigo. Links with Manchester City. Arsenal fans begging him to come to Arsenal. I love him. I think he's a fantastic talent. But what happens with Saka and with Rodrigo? How do they both play? One of them's got to see it out. Unless they go over to the other side. One of them goes left. I just don't see that happening. Manchester City, they really want him. Apparently, he's come out today saying that he's not interested and he wants to stay at Real Madrid. He'd be a fool to go now. He would be. Some people are saying move Bellingham to centre midfield and play him as a number 9. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. But all I know is Real Madrid are absolute legends. They've won it 15 now. Carlo Ancelotti, one of the best managers ever. That when I suggested him coming and taking over Arsenal, people said, what did he do at Everton? What did he do at Napoli? I mean, come on, let's just not. What are we doing there? I know Arteta's done well, but let's not try to compare him to Carlo Ancelotti, please. Dan, would you say Vinny Jr. deserves to win the Ballon d'Or award from AFC Always? Yeah, I think he'll get it. Yeah, I think he will get it. I think he's been better than Mbappe for a couple of years, if I'm honest. And people will look at Mbappe and go, what? He nearly won France World Cup on his own. Nah, listen, I honestly, I think Vinny Jr. will get it. I hate Vinny Jr. where it goes down and rolls around like Neymar used to, but he's an absolute baller, man. Absolute baller for me. I think he's the best in his position, if I'm honest. And I know that him and Mbappe play in a similar position. I think, like you'll find out when he goes to Real Madrid, they've got to play somehow. Either they go either side, or they go one of them goes through the middle, which will probably have to be Mbappe. I think Mbappe can play through the middle. I think he could. I think he could. I think he's that good. I think Vinny needs to stay where he is. But listen, it ain't our problem, is it? It's Carlo Ancelotti's, who unfortunately is going to stay longer now and potentially retire, from what I'm hearing, after Real Madrid. The guy's a genius, man. He's an absolute genius. And he's one that if things didn't work out for Arsenal in the next couple of years, he's the one I would look at 100%. Big up to Igal. Says, yes, bro. Yes, my guy. I hope you're well, man. Please make sure you go over to Igal Talks Football. If you do not, you're crazy. The guy's a legend. He supports the channel very, very much so, and he's always on here. Most Tuesday nights when we do the panel debate shows, and when that comes back, you'll see a lot from Igal. So make sure, if you're not done so already, you're going to subscribe to Igal Talks Football. We're going to leave it there, I think, guys. It's been a legend. I'm going to let you all love you and leave you to all go and watch Britain's Got Talent's final now, if you're all going to go and do that. That is tongue in cheek, but I can't lie. I'll probably sit there and watch it because it's easy TV, sit and chill out time. Please make sure you do me a favor. How many likes have we got, man? There's nearly 500 people watching live, which is fantastic. We're at 131. Let's get that up to 250, please, people. ASAP, all you got to do is hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Make sure you do both of those things, but make sure tonight hit the like button, but definitely hit that subscribe button as well, because we are so close now. It's crazy, towards 20k, and I can't wait. There's gonna be a little celebration video for that one as well. So please make sure that you do that. And hit the like and subscribe as you leave. Check out our sponsors of the channel, footballprizes.co.uk, and go and see what they have on offer at the moment, which is quite a lot of memorabilia signed that you do not want to miss out on. No matter who you support, they have got a prize for you. Enjoy yourselves. Take it easy. And we're out of here. Laters.